Hi guys, this is Esa Holopainen from Finnish metal band Amorphis. Well, with the Borderland we started to write the music how we usually do, not any special tricks. We were more relied on our producer Jacob Hansen, with whom we worked now first time with the Borderland album. I would say there is some slight new freshness in the result, in the sound of Borderland, which is slightly different, or in a way a little bit more different than what we had, for example, a couple previous albums, and that was pretty much what we started to search for from the album. Borderland is definitely a band-oriented album. There's not that many guests on the album, so it's straightforward. The songs on the album are pretty much how they were on our demos, so there's not that much any arrangements that we changed, or songs that were that was changed from as they originally were from the demos. We went with the flow, so in the studio, if there was anything we needed to do slightly differently, or to use like a different drum beat, usually drummer to play a little less, that was with during the recording. So we didn't plan that much anything beforehand, so we pretty much played all the songs how they were on our demos, and I think it worked really well, because it was a little bit back to the old days, how we used to do the albums, just between the band, and not to have that much producer touch within the original song. When we go to studio, we are very prepared. So usually we just play the songs there. We don't rehearse them at all there. So we have a rehearsing studio where we do the rehearsings, and when we go to record in the recording studio, we record. So there is not really anything like trying things out in studio. It's pretty clear for us what we are going to do when we enter the studio. We don't think anything what we do as a risk, because we know that if we please ourselves and as a musicians, and we write songs that feels good and what we like, it's pretty obvious that it will eventually connect to the listener and to our fans. So I wouldn't say it's always a risk. I think the biggest risk is when we started to talk about disco tiger and the word disco, because it's in the metal community, the word disco can be like described as a not that good thing, but it's we don't think that our music as anything like that's risky. And even if it is, I think it's a good thing in a way, that you try to wake up people a little bit with certain things. But to be honest, I think Borderland is in a way it's very familiar Amorphis album, even though it has like some nuances. Well, the song Bones is made by Santeri, our keyboard player, and from the beginning it was pretty clear that it's going to be one of the heaviest songs on the album, and it turned out great. And it's pretty much like we rehearse as a band. We rehearse the music then and record the music. Then the vocals are recorded by Tommy Olsen, our singer, with our vocal producer Jonas Olsson. So it's like two camps that are working in between. Tommy with the vocals and the rest of the band with the music. And I think the vocals turned out like perfectly. Beautiful chorus line, great aggressive verse. So I think it's pretty great match there. Borderland original title was Father and Son, and it describes the connection between spiritual world and the world we are living. And it's about the son who is meeting his father in the dream world and in the border between the living and the dead people. So that's pretty much what the song stands out for, and for us, we thought as the whole lyrical concept is based on the connection between the spiritual world with our ancestors and the life we are living today. So it's in a way it describes the mood and the feeling of the whole album. I think Jacob is very different kind of producer than, for example, Jens Bogren, with whom we recorded 3 previous albums. Jacob's strength is definitely in encouraging band to do their best, and rather than changing things too much. And also what came with the mix, he's like perfect guy coming up with the mix. And he sort of like, you know, founded the refreshment for the final sound that we were pretty much looking for. Where we're heading next, I guess nobody knows, but I would like to believe that Borderland represents sort of the new era for Amorphis, because I consider this band, especially with the albums that we've done, the albums in different era, in different cycles, so perhaps Borderland begins the new cycle for Amorphis. That definitely we are going with a couple more records, but you know, it's too early to say at the moment, but I would like to believe that. We go way back to 1989, 1990, when we've actually formed Amorphis, and I was searching like different names and suggestions to the other guys. I ended up with the word amorphous, which is like a shapeless form of something, and from that amorphous word became Amorphis, which pretty much doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it's in the way it describes the shapeless form. But you know, back in the days, you know, you had bands with a more evil name, so having name Amorphis, I think, is something that we can be proud today, because it describes pretty much our whole career. For the 35 years we've had, it's been pretty shapeless in many ways with the different albums and so on. So I remember we came here with our ex-singer Pasi. I think that was the start of the tour we did together with Moonspell, 2001, something like this. And our ex-singer Pasi was so drunk when we arrived to New York that you know, he could barely stand, and he had this like sort of like a Palestinian scarf, you know, like this sort of hippie scarf with it. And he started to smoke cigarettes and burned, by an accident he burned his scarf and threw it to the trash can, which led into the trash can to burn out, and there was flames and smoke all over JFK airport, front of airport. It was like a mess. And then we met our German tour manager, who, you know, who came to us. He was shouting like, "Pasi, Pasi, what are you doing?" And then we just pretty much ran away from the situation. Nothing bad happened, except that we burned one trash can there. But you know, that was pretty funny. Yeah, hopefully people get into the new Amorphis Borderland album. Check it out, and definitely check us out on live. We start the world tour now, 10th of October in Europe, and at some point we are coming to US as well.